Experiment Share, Generative Literature, Marcus L. Endicott. Christy Dana has reminded me to focus more on what I am doing than how I am doing it. In my research of the academic literature, I have noted that there is very little, almost none at all, overlap between generative literature, generative text, and the more formal field of natural language generation, a subfield of natural language processing. Here is a screenshot from a recent aria.com promotional video briefly explaining the natural language generation pipeline, from data ingestion to data analytics to data interpretation, document planning, microplanning, realization, and publishing. In my generative literature project, I will be trying to emulate the natural language generation pipeline in a semi-automated fashion, using commonly available online services for each step. The first step is data ingestion. It may otherwise be called scraping, for instance, data scraping or web scraping. This step includes a filtration component in the form of targeted or selective scraping. In other words, you are already ingesting only a certain kind of pre-selected or pre-filtered data. I already have a dynamic scraping pipeline in place for every country in the world on my GaiaPassage.com website. Dynamic means never-ending supply or stream of information about climate change and tourism in this case. In terms of data analytics and data interpretation, I have experimented with an n-gram approach. An n-gram may be defined as a contiguous sequence of n items from a given sample of text. In other words, n-grams are basically phrases or terms, but are numerically based rather than grammatically based. This can be thought of as a kind of manual cluster analysis. The following three screenshots include 3-gram, 4-gram, and 5-gram extractions from the Kenya dataset, see previous post, with occurrences of 3 or more times. From the set of 3 grams above, we can see that drought is an issue associated with climate change in Kenya. From this set of 4 grams above, we can see that poverty and women are affected by drought. From this last set of 5 grams, there appears to emerge a solution that women in business may be able to escape the effects of climate change-driven drought and consequent poverty. A mashup is a mixture or fusion of disparate elements. A musical track comprising the vocals of one recording placed over the instrumental backing of another, or in computing, a web page or application created by combining data or functionality from different sources. Mashups, participants in an online music scene who rearrange spliced musical pieces. Mashups in education could be combining various forms of data and media by a teacher or student in instructional setting. Mashups in music, a song or composition created by blending 2 or more pre-recorded songs. Mashups in video, a video that is edited from multiple sources to appear unified. Mashups in books, fiction, combining pre-existing literature with other genres to create a single narrative. And mashups, a web application hybrid, a web application that combines content from more than one source in a single graphical interface. 2014 book, Text Analysis with R for Students of Literature by Matthew Jockers. Microanalysis, basics, first foray into text analysis with R, accessing and comparing word frequency data, token distribution analysis, correlation, mesoanalysis, measures of lexical variety, hapax richness, do it quick better, text quality, text variety, and parsing XML, macroanalysis, clustering, classification, topic modeling, text analysis with R for students of literature, 2014. Believe it or not, I was hard at work on this project over the week 7 break. From n-gram analysis, I was looking at topic modeling. Whether right or wrong, the way I now think of a vector space model like a geometric shape, notionally representing the semantics or meaning of a document that can be compared with other documents for similarity based on a kind of graphical processing. I also found a Python toolkit for accomplishing this called GenSim. But right now, I'm still struggling to run command line programs on Linux virtual machine, which puts it outside the scope of this project for the time being. Natural language generation is defined by Gatt and Kramer as the task of generating text or speech from non-linguistic input, which would explain why there's not a close association in the academic literature between natural language generation and generative text. Another thing I've learned along the way is proper natural language generation is now considered to be used for making sense of raw data, for instance, numerical data, rather than linguistic snippets, such as terms and phrases corresponding to some but not all n-grams. Natural language snippet programming would be referred to as linguistic aggregation, according to Wikipedia, hence the connection with mashups, though to be sure there is a gray area as to where data stops and language begins. Terms and phrases fall roughly between the word level and the sentence level. Sentence construction is called realization or surface realization in natural language processing and natural language generation. Simple NLG is a prominent tool available for this purpose. However, for this project, I don't have enough time to master Linux command line programming in order to run and take advantage of it. Rita Toolkit is the only thing like it I found specifically meant for generative literature. But the same basic barrier to command line programming prevents me from using it here. Being a clever bunny, I searched for both these tools together and came up with very little. But my search did turn up this very interesting Wilota project from Sri Lanka, which cobbled together a number of systems, in addition to both Simple NLG and Rita Toolkit. Botnick's Harry Potter and the Portrait of What Looked Like a Large Pile of Ash was ranked number 4 in The Guardian's list of 10 best internet moments in 2017. So Faye's feedback in the week 6 webinar to my question about what the bar of expectation for generative literature was proved very helpful, at least for my own thinking. After some research, I learned that Botnick's Harry Potter was not the kind of AI I was thinking about. It uses a semi-automated predictive keyboard, a kind of predictive text. So in the end was human created with the help of a neural network, theoretically. I had a bit of a play with Botnick Predictive Writer after uploading my own data file, and you can too at the source link above. It's pretty good at coming up with nonsense, but which is not what I'm aiming at. Botnick Predictive Writer did get me thinking about more semi-automated solutions. I was then reminded to look at the techniques and tools of computer assisted reporting and computational journalism, which has led me to cluster analysis. Clustering is something in between n-gram analysis and topic modeling. My real-time country-based data sets are on average around 1,000 lines in length, some more and some less. In my experimentation, I have found that clustering, essentially conceptual analysis, allows me to drill down and zero in on the needle in the haystack very quickly. I can then deliver the most crucial information directly to my climate change robot, as can be seen in the following three screenshots. Here is proof of concept for my climate change robot, powered by generative literature, generative text. Really, this is just the first half of the NLG pipeline discussed at the beginning of this thread. Thus, it's a semi-automated pipeline with a human in the loop. But through automation, augmentation of intelligence, I'm able to do something nearly impossible with 100% manual methods, such as digesting 10,000 lines of data and pulling out the best, most pertinent nuggets in the blink of an eye. I reviewed the Week 9 video archive, and I'm intrigued with the idea of robot opinions. For instance, robots with opinions like Fox News. According to the academic literature, robots don't have opinions. However, people do have opinions about robots. Another word for opinion would be judgment. At this point in time, apparently robots did not make judgments for people. Another word for judgment might be decision. Do robots make decisions for people? Would GPS not be an example of a robot making decisions for people? For instance, the best route. The closest thing I could find was this 2017 book, Achieving Consensus in Robot Swarms. Swarm robotics is something like the extension of multi-agent systems. Apparently, the best of N problem is also known as the secretary problem, among other names. Here's the second episode of Climate Change Robot, Week 2. This week, Climate Change Robot visits the top tourist destinations of Europe. I have changed the voice to a female voice. Do you like a female voice or male voice better? Which sounds more convincing or more plausible? I have also experimented with different graphics, this time keeping in mind the poetics of media installations. I have tried to illustrate the topic more accurately than the previous geographics. A robot could be made to automatically find its own topical graphics. It could also be automated to create some kind of visual poetry based on the narrative text. A robot could even be made to communicate solely with images and thus be panlingual. Jody Taylor has turned me on to something new for me, articlevideorobot.com. In researching my own quick and dirty page for Article Video Robot, I found a competitor, Vomatic.com. Basically, these services have automated the manual process I went through to go from text document to video. The most interesting thing about Article Video Robot is that it offers an API or web service for developers to fully automate the video creation process. Credits. Thanks to Faye Daunt, Christy Dana, and Christopher Lambert for feedback on this project.